Imagine this. It's March. You've uh you've just burned through half of your Q1 headcount budget,
Oh, yeah. Happens all the time.
right? But it's not on growth. It's on replacing 3 people you just hired back in November. Welcome to this deep dive examining evidence-based HR planning, where we're looking at how to, stop building strategies on sheer optimism and start building them on reality.
Because if you don't audit last year's failures, you're essentially drawing a map based on where you hope to go, all while ignoring the quicksand right in front of you. True planning really has to start with an honest baseline.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because finding those baseline metrics isn't always easy. I'm guessing the biggest blind spot is still tied up in, like, quality of hire, which honestly, it just feels like a soft metric, especially with rampant credential inflation right now.
It's often treated as a soft metric, but I mean the math is just brutal. We see teams ignore hard metrics like departmental turnover rates or the hidden cost of a 3-month vacancy. The U.S. Department of Labor actually notes that a single mishire costs a massive portion of an employee's first-year earnings.
Wait, a massive portion. Just from one bad hire.
Exactly. But the danger isn't just the wasted salary or, the recruiter fees, it's the cascading effect.
Right, because when a critical role seat's empty or you have someone underperforming, your top performers have to burn themselves out, covering the gap.
Which leads to secondary turnover. The hidden cost is team disruption. And in the remote work era, this is amplified so much.
Yeah, a quick resume scam just doesn't cut it anymore.
It really doesn't. Gaps and short tenures often hide expensive behavior patterns. You simply won't catch them without verified credentials and rigorous employment history checks.
So the financial fallout is severe. But practically speaking, how do you budget to prevent that risk? Because HR is usually the very last department to know when the CFO suddenly decides to freeze the budget.
Oh, absolutely. You're completely right.
How are we supposed to plan for a scenario we aren't even looped into? It's like buying insurance after the crash.
Well, what's fascinating here is that you break out of that silo entirely through scenario-based headcount planning. You can't just have one rigid target.
So you need a backup plan.
Right. You need to build a ship's ballast, something that doesn't necessarily make the ship go faster, but, keeps you upright when the market winds suddenly change.
That makes sense conceptually. What does that actually look like in practice, though?
Well, you build 3 models. A base case for, business as usual. A conservative case where maybe revenues drop and you only backfill critical roles.
And then an expansion case, I assume.
Yes, an expansion case if a new product launch takes off. But to make this work, you need mandatory Q1 touchpoints with your CFO or COO.
Oh, so you bring those 3 scenarios directly to them early on.
Exactly. That shared visibility means if leadership gets nervous about Q2, HR knows exactly which levers to pull before a single dollar is spent.
Okay, aligning with the C-suite gets you the budget. But here's where it gets really interesting. How do you generate a measurable return on that investment internally? You hear a lot about building trust, but that sounds, I don't know, entirely intangible.
It sounds intangible, sure, but the Edelman Trust Barometer shows us trust has a direct, trackable financial impact. Think about the verification process.
Okay, I'm with you.
When a hiring manager actually trusts that your background checks are bulletproof, they don't spend 3 extra days wringing their hands over a candidate's 2-month resume gap.
Oh, wow. They just hit send on the offer letter. The decision cycle shrinks.
Precisely. Offers go out faster, and top talent doesn't get poached while you hesitate. This is why January is the time to audit your vendors.
To make sure they can uphold that standard of trust against changing global regulations.
Right, because the rules are shifting constantly.
Yeah, you can't just run a standard background check in the UK anymore, for example. Post-Brexit data residency rules mean certain information might not legally be allowed to cross borders.
Exactly. Or dealing with evolving GDPR shifts in Romania. Or navigating varying ban-the-box laws across different U.S. states.
So doing a January audit of how your vendors handle these specifics isn't just administrative overhead.
No, it is critical due diligence.
So what does this all mean? Bringing this all together, strong planning is really about reducing the surprises you can actually control. It takes an honest audit of where you failed last year.
And budgeting for risk with scenario planning, plus building internal processes you completely trust.
Right. A solid HR function operates like a sound investment portfolio. You hedge your bets and you know exactly what you own.
Which leaves us with a final challenge to consider. If your company's core strategic priorities shifted completely overnight tomorrow, which of your current HR processes would break first?
And more importantly, how can you bulletproof them today so you're ready for whatever comes next.